I'm riding with the HRC group today, and they're killing me, but I can also tell I have not been doing leg maintenance. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. My lack of recent leg maintenance that I'll be talking about in a bit only exacerbated the fact that I have not been doing a lot of flatland work. Most of my high intensity work has been spent in the mountains, and my climbing has been showing that. Flatland has been showing that too, but in the opposite direction. With all that stated, right now I'm standing trying to punch it to stay on this guy's wheel. Now this is Alex. This is the first time I've really ridden with him in a small group. I may have been in one of the practice races with him, but usually I don't see a lot of people there. Thank goodness the top came before I died out. I was standing doing over 600, trying to stay on his wheel while he was just sitting, keeping it steady. I had a feeling this was going to be a tough ride for me. That's why I made sure I got to the start early, about 30 minutes early, and I did about a 20-minute warm-up, about 4 miles I think. When I say I do better in the mountains than I do on the flats, I'm referring to a steeper grade, let's say 4% on up, 4% to 7%. Now on the climb that we just hit, that I just survived on with Alex in the front, that was a steep climb, but it was short. And this one is about a mile long, but it's more of a lower grade climb. So I consider these efforts more toward the flatland end of things. My teammate Eric, who is going to be doing some gravel, and he's going to turn off to do some gravel when he gets to the rest stop, to the first rest stop, attacks. Diego accelerates to connect with him, and I'm having trouble hanging on to Diego's wheel. And we're now a little over 10 miles into this ride, and this is an 80-mile ride. I think the difficulty I'm experiencing here is due to my lack of leg maintenance. Again, I'll be talking about that in a bit, as opposed to my lack of flatland work. Now, the lack of flatland work is going to contribute to this, but that's not the main cause. Looking at the rear camera insert in the upper right-hand corner, I can see by the shadows that there's people starting to get separated. My water just dropped down to 300, so now I'm getting separated. Good thing that first rest stop is not too far away. We are now on the first of a series of undulating climbs leading to the bottom of the main climb that we're going to do. And being a climb that's consistent like this, I find it very favorable. So I go to the front just to keep the pace consistent. I was starting to experience minor slow-ups and surges in front of me. I could also set a little stronger pace, and then if I found that somebody would go ahead of me, then that would tell me I'd be in trouble in a little bit. Jumping forward a half mile later, all is going well. When we come up to my teammate Dr. Chris, who we are connecting with on this ride, Alex puts in an attack. When he comes by, I increase my pace to try and get onto his wheel. I couldn't make the connection, so the chase was on. So let's take a moment and talk about leg maintenance. So what is leg maintenance? Basically, it's massage. It's rubbing out the knots and whatever from your legs. Using my hands work, but a rolling pin I find works better. And better yet, one of those big foam rollers that you put on the ground that you lay on. Now, if you had a masseuse, that would be even better. But that's costly, not only in terms of money, but in time to get there. And so since I'm cheap, don't like to spend money, I'm using these rolling pins and the roller. Typically, I'll use the rolling pin or the roller, and I won't use both. But since I did a demonstration that you see now on the screen, I think using both, it has an advantage, and I will continue to do that as long as I have the time to do that. After 2 kilometers on this first undulating step, I couldn't catch him. We all regrouped on the flat part in between, and we waited for the next climb. Jumping forward a bit, we had all regrouped except Alex. He was still motoring, so we were chasing him. Eventually we did catch Alex, but mainly due to the efforts of Craig, a new transplant to the area who races cross. Now, before we got to the next major undulation, another split was going to happen right at this bump. You see Dr. Chris back there and Diego off the back, and now you're going to see me just starting to get separated from Alex, Craig, and Ricky T. Jumping forward to the beginning of the very last step, and keep in mind that we haven't even gotten to the start of the main climb, I finally was able to catch up to Ricky T. Alex and Craig were way too out in front for me to be able to catch them. Well, apparently I go better on the climbs than I do on the flats.
Hey, you did well.
Yeah. We are finally starting the main climb. This first 1.75 mile section is pretty steep, and there's a turnoff at the top of this that we're going to regroup so everybody can start together when we get to the next section. Leading us right now is Craig, and right in back of him is Alex. Now the rider in front of me in back of Alex is my teammate Gary. We were surprised to see Gary at the rest stop. He was supposed to be doing the Markleyville Death Ride today. He said he got there, and then they had just started, but then there was a fire, and the CHP closed everything off. He quickly got back in the car, drove another 4 hours to get back here so we could do this ride. Gary's main forte are double centuries, and double centuries with lots of climbing in them. So yet I have another good climber that I can measure myself against and have a good workout. The overall quality of the rider on this ride is what I was hoping for. I have been fortunate over the past few months to be able to do this particular course with quality riders. This particular course, with the quality of riders that I'm able to train with, enables me to also work on my end of race strength. I think I did this course about a month ago. And I had a good run coming up this section. And then we did the 1 mile of false flat, and then we started the next part of the climb, which would be about 4 or 5 miles long. I lasted about 1 to 2 miles with the group on that ride before I had to back off and let them go. Before this ride, I was hoping that I can go a little bit further, but with how strong we started at the beginning of this ride, and I mean right at the beginning, I was wondering if I was going to be able to hang with these guys on this section. Of course, if I'm feeling good at the time, it's not going to prevent me from going to the front and testing myself against the others. Another thing I want to touch on is my AFIB situation. I'm doing some pretty hard workouts. I'm still sticking to my rule most of the time, and I'm talking right now about 99% of the time, of only 2 hard workouts a week. I use palpitations, the skip beats or those quick beats, to let me know if I am a little more fatigued than what I should be, if I've done something that I overcooked myself on, that my heart didn't like, or in the way I did it. But what's happening now is I'm not feeling very many palpitations at all throughout the day. It seems that I cyclically feel more palpitations when I am starting to build up. For example, if I'm in the off season and now the season's approaching and I'm starting to put more intensity into my workouts, maybe later on that evening or certainly the next day, maybe day or two, I'll start to feel the palpitations. Now I have these incredibly hard workouts at times, and I may notice something, but usually I'm not thinking about it. It's almost as if I don't have any AFIB at all. Jumping back to the screen and forward a bit, I had opened up quite a gap, and then Gary went to the front, pulled the group that's with us back up to me, and in another few moments he's going to make his move. So back to the AFIB thing. So it's not just that I have to limit myself to 2 hard workouts a week. There's other things I have to do. I have to make sure, first and foremost, I get quality sleep. Burning the candle at both ends for decades is part of the main reasons why I got AFIB to begin with. Everybody's different. There's similarity in the causes of what can lead to AFIB, but everybody's situation individually is different. So while I don't have any problem with high intensity workouts, there's this other viewer that communicated with me that he has to limit himself to only endurance rides because when his heart rate goes above a certain point, then he goes into AFIB. Again, jumping forward, this time to the top of this first section, Gary got away from me. I was chasing him. The others were pretty much chasing me. So probably what's going to happen to me is I'm going to go good at the beginning, and then because of all the workload for me, I'm going to die out and then try and hang on to whoever's last coming up that thing. After that quick regroup, we did about a mile of false flat, and then we started on the next section of the climb. And this section is going to be, I think, again, about 4.5 to 5 miles. How I climb compared to the others on this section is going to determine how I'm doing with my end of race strength, if it's increasing or not. And again, because we were banging on it from the beginning, I have to take that into account. While we had that quick regroup, a couple of the moderate climbers went up ahead, and Diego right now just attacked and put in a great attack, bridging to the first climber, Juan, whom I'll be talking about in a little bit. I started chasing, and I was surprised that it was still a kilometer later, like it is now, that I still hadn't caught up to Juan. I say that because he doesn't look like a classic climber, but he is a ball of muscle. Apparently I was starting to slow up and weaken a bit, so this is where both Alex and Gary attacked. Pretty much at this point there was nothing I could do except spin and wait till my legs came back, at least hope that my legs came back. Jumping forward a kilometer, my legs did come back, but then they started to go away again. I got close to these guys, I was hoping to connect. Alex had previously given a quick look back, and then they started to go away again, and I could not answer their acceleration. I fortunately was not totally depleted, but I needed to wait again until my legs came back. There was a lot of seesawing going on here apparently, because about a half mile later I just about get onto these guys' wheels, but I run out of energy again, and then they slowly go off, and then I slowly slow down. At that point I was not totally depleted, but there was no more chasing back for me, so I just kept it nice and even. About a mile later, a little over a mile later, Craig catches up to me and then just keeps on going and passes me. And then after that, about half a K later, Juan catches up to me and we ride together for a bit. Once we get over the top of that section, we have about 4 miles of a little bit of climbing, a little bit of undulations. We catch up to some others and we roll into the next water stop. It's easy to walk up. Oh, mama. Mama. I'm doing good today, but you guys are killing me, and that's good. In the category of end of race strength, I have made significant improvements in this ride. Still, it wasn't perfect. When I was coming in, I was dying and I couldn't do my pulls at the end. And as you see now, as we're going up the little riser before we hit Cry Baby Hill, I'm now coming off the back and I'm pretty much accepting that. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Always remember, comment, like, subscribe, The Cycling Greek.